Celtics fans, it is not bedtime just yet. BST is coming at you, getting you ready for Game 1 of the ALDS. Why is Cora so confident on Chris? We have the latest on Mr. Sale, plus a Celtics recap. Asherrod Blakely will join us from the Garden. And is Gronk going to play Thursday night? A little Pats talk coming at you. BST, let's roll.
Fine. Okay, all right, Alex Cora, talking about Chris Sale. It's your Game 1 starter on Friday for the ALDS. This is Town for Retired Boston Sports Tonight. Tom Giles, Michael Hawley, Danielle Trotta.
Hey, what's up?
Some of us are believing Cora a little bit more than others, shall we say?
Yeah, I would probably guess so. I would.
Well, but see, you know, I think I'm probably between Danielle. I'm between Danielle.
Literally and figuratively.
Because Danielle, I think you're all in on what Cora's saying. Giles is a little skeptical.
That's the word I would use.
And I'm not saying I'm all in, because I don't think 100% is accurate. At this point in the season, is Chris Sale 100% healthy? He's probably not. But I don't think he could do anything to hurt himself going out there. The Red Sox wouldn't have had him have him out there for 92 pitches against the Orioles, and they wouldn't be insistent on him starting Game 1 if they didn't feel like he was physically capable of doing the job. So, hey, if he's 90%, if it's 85%, it's good enough to start
with him on Friday, but to say that he's 100% healthy at this point doesn't really account for a drop-off from 98 to 89 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour with your fastball. That's where I'm kind of lost, where I'm just figuring that he's definitely not completely right. And even if it's like mechanics can help you improve like 4 or 5 miles an hour maybe. And if he is, you know, in the low to mid 90s, he can still be effective. But at this point, I just think that the Red Sox are in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot right here. I mean,
how tough? How tough? Couldn't you, if you felt like you were a little concerned about Chris Sale, couldn't you start David Price in Game 1?
You could, but you can also start Chris Sale in Game 1 and still pitch David Price in Games 2 and 5. Because you have 2 off days within the series there. So you could easily pitch Games 2 and 5 on 4 days rest. So
so you think Chris Sale is healthy enough for Game 1, but not for not for 2 games in an ALDS?
I think they think that, but I think they also know that if Chris Sale doesn't look sharp, that they can go to David Price in Games 2 and 5.
Right. Fair.
So I think they look at that and they say, okay, well, let's go with Chris Sale to see how he looks. But I think they're being hopeful, which is what I would say I am. I am hopeful that he will pitch well, but I am not confident.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to question. You know, he threw an indoor bullpen session today. Alex Cora says, you know, it's the mechanics. Chris understands the mechanics are off. They had all the tricks in there. They had all the toys, the video systems. He said it's an easy fix. And he said if the mechanics come back, the velocity goes back up. So he's not concerned. And he's 100% confident in Sale's health because he said it's nowhere near what happened the first time he went on the DL, which I thought was also interesting.
The fact that he said it's nowhere near what it was?
Right.
Yeah, I found that interesting, too. I'm glad you brought that up because by saying that, you
admit
there's an issue.
Little something wrong. There's a little something wrong.
They've done that before. You know, Dave Dombrowski did the same thing, and that was when I had my initial concerns about Chris Sale. Now, he did that a while ago, where he said, oh, this time it's not as bad as last time. You remember this?
Yes.
You're like, wait a minute, wait. But last time you told me it was just some mild left shoulder inflammation. Now you're telling me it's bad.
That's what I'm saying.
That means it's even less severe. I don't think he's 100%, but I think he's pretty darn close.
They're just getting mixed messages.
I know.
Gotta
keep our fingers crossed.
You get all kinds of stuff. You just
gotta read between the lines.
All right, so we go from postseason baseball talk to preseason basketball. You got Kyrie Irving sitting this one out. Just going to give him some rest here. It's their 3rd game in 5 days. Jalen Brown off the nice feed from Al Horford. Jalen had 10 points in 15 minutes. Shemi Ojale on the reverse layup in transition. Nice pass from Gordon Hayward. Hayward had 7 points in the 15 minutes he played. Marcus Smart. Oh, dunking with the left hand.
Left hand dunk. Show something.
He had 15 points, led all Celtic scores. But the Cavs, that's right, in a Game 7 rematch from last year. All the participants in there. Cavs win at 102-95. Brad Stevens, how do you feel?
Not happy.
Couldn't be more unimpressed after our first 3 exhibition games. You know, we're not as good as advertised right now, and so at least we know that. At least we know that one weekend.
We got to find a rhythm, a chemistry, you know, with that first unit. It's a lot of talent on that first unit. And nobody wants to step on each other's toes, but at the same time, we're not helping each other just execute. And I think we'll figure it out. I have no doubt in my mind that we'll figure it out. So I think we just need to take a deep breath, smile, and continue to get better each and every game.
All right, we're going to bring in Sherrod Blakely now, our Celtics insider for NBCSportsBoston.com. And Sherrod, was it as unimpressive to you as what kind of Brad's team has alluded to there in postgame?
It was a hot mess in every sense of the word. I thought Brad was very tempered in his response to what he saw out there. Offensively, they looked out of sync. Defensively, they just weren't rotating. They weren't helping each other out. I mean, they looked like a bunch of strangers out there playing. And when you think about it, this is kind of what happens when you start training camp and in a week you play 3 games. Clearly, the Celtics have some work to do. And again, it's not about talent. It's not about anything other than just repetitions, guys getting reacclimated with one another. I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet, but certainly there's a lot of stuff that Brad has seen thus far that is very concerning to him going forward. And he knows, and these players know, they have to be better than this.
Sherrod, I'm not panicking either. You said it's not about talent. I agree, they're a very talented team, probably the most talented team in the East. But could it be mental? And by that I mean they seem to be talking a lot. They seem to be very impressed with themselves. They've been talking about it since they lost Game 7 to the Cavaliers. Do they need to be humbled a bit to get themselves back on track?
I think after these 3 preseason games, if they're pretty close to being as humble as they're going to be, because frankly they've played poorly, I think, in all 3. They had some good stretches in that second game where they were able to pull that out, but by and large, they have not looked like a team that is on pace to win a championship or compete for one. They're going to be better. I know that as the season progresses, but they're going to have to put in the work. I think the best thing for them that's going to come about is when they have a full week where there are no games and all they will do is practice so they can work on that chemistry. The thing that I'm curious about is whether or not Brad is going to start tinkering with that lineup. I think it's far too early to just say make changes, make wholesale changes. But when you're having problems defensively and you've got a bench where you've got multiple guys who can play at an elite level defensively there waiting, you have to wonder how much is Brad going to give serious thought to making a lineup change, because it is without question one of the cards on the table that he has to give some thought to.
Yeah, and you wonder where that change is going to come from, Sherrod. Marcus Smart said this loss brought us down to earth. It humbled us, but it's offensively and defensively. The shooting percentages are down. The defense gave up 32 points in the first quarter alone. Where does Brad Stevens start when this team gets back to practice?
Well, I think it starts, for this team to be successful, it has to start with their defense. That is what, frankly, has been instrumental in just their ascension throughout the Eastern Conference under Brad Stevens. When they play great defense, they win more nights than not, and they've got to find ways to get back to that. Now, obviously, without Kyrie Irving in the lineup against Cleveland, that changes things on a lot of levels. That's the one guy that can pretty much not just get his shot off, but just make baskets pretty much when he wants to. And so that, I think, there's an adjustment period for that. But I'm also looking at Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and Gordon Hayward, 3 guys that are very similar in terms of what they do skill-wise. And the chemistry that those 3 guys have to develop, I think, is one of the bigger issues that we need to really keep an eye on going forward. Because as talented as those guys are, they're not really accustomed to playing with each other. And even though they went through training camp last year, they're in very different places now. Gordon is on the comeback trail. Jalen Brown is trying to, continue to play better than he did the year before, which was pretty good. And Jason Tatum, he is a budding superstar in this league. Very different than when they were a year ago. Those 3 guys in particular have to find a way to work together at both ends of the floor more effectively.
All right, Sherrod Blakely, read more about it at NBCSportsBoston.com. They'll have his start. Your Red Sox update presented by George's Furniture. And
feeling that. That was nice.
Let's bring back the disco music.
It had like an old school Shaka Khan, I'm Every Woman kind of feel.
I was back in the 70s for a second. That was fun.
It's all in me. All right.
In fairness, the Red Sox did get no hit by the A's very early in the season. And he's not there anymore. He's hurt. He's shut down for the year. So that's why those numbers might be a little bit skewed. But I did like that. So
that's great.
Would you maybe want to?
They made a case.
Would you maybe rather face the Yankees?
You want the Yankees.
You don't have a good opponent, really. I mean, in terms of on the field, the Yankees, 100 wins.
What do you mean
Oakland.
you don't have a good opponent?
I was saying you don't have a sad opponent to like, oh yeah,
Okay.
that's Oakland. If you're playing Oakland, it's not a guaranteed.
No, it's pick your poison.
You're going to sweep them, and then the Yankees with their 100 wins. So I always go with the story, and the better story is Yankees-Red Sox. That's
Agreed.
what I wanna see.
It's
That's
better
what I
for
wanna
the
see there.
league. It's better for the fans. It's better for television. It's better for the game, and everybody's enthralled. I think it's one of the best rivalries in all of sports. But when you do break down the numbers, the Red Sox do have better numbers against the Yankees this year versus the Oakland A's. And it's like, do you want the enemy you know or the enemy you really don't? After only facing them in the beginning of the year, you kind of know the Yankees a bit more.
Bring on the sexy matchup. And
We want it.
Speaking of Jackson, John Lester was all of that.
Wow, what a transition.
Yeah, on the mound tonight.
Not
6 innings, 1 run,
not so much.
9 strikeouts. He was fantastic. He was fired up leaving the mound, and then they pulled him after 86 pitches. Joe Madden said that's all we need from you. He probably would have liked to go back out there for a 7th inning. He gave up that 1 run in the 1st inning, but man.
How bad do you guys miss Lester?
Oh, he's still so good. He's still such a great big game pitcher.
Yeah, that was it. You know, even if John Lester was not having a great regular season, you knew you were going to get a good postseason start from him. And we haven't seen that. So, oh, there it is.
We get the
oh, there it is.
Good.
Yes.
Come on now, bring it back.
Yeah.
Keep it, just keep it there the whole show.
Oh, we're rolling it out.
Oh, roll it out.
Leave it in.
Oh, you got
I
music
get it,
on.
like roller skates. Like roll it
music
out.
on the pitch.
Roll it out. Roll that right off the screen. Roll those numbers away.
Nobody's making the playoffs. Look at that, 6 and 10.
Ugh.
All gone.
It's been a rough go of it as of late.
Look at that. I picked Miami and the Jets. What an
Luckily,
idiot.
the music makes me feel
I
good.
picked in the same week. Okay, I'm making a new rule.
You
In
gotta
the
put
same
point.
week, you can't pick more than one AFC East team to win. And I picked 2. And one of them's in the Patriots.
Yeah.
How stupid.
I went over for the 2nd week in a row, which I'm real proud of. I don't know how I'm going to climb out of this.
I still don't feel good. I did even worse in real life than I did on that screen.
Is that not real life?
Well, that's real life. There's no financial
You know what?
responsibilities tied to
I'm
that.
making my
Boogie
picks with
down,
this music
people.
going
We'll
forward.
see you
I gotta make
tomorrow.
all my picks.